choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
1969 would go down as one of the most memorable years in the space industry. Following the success recorded by the United States in landing 2 astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Edwin "Buzz" Aldrin, on the moon, over the following 3 years, 10 more astronauts joined in. However, no humans returned to the moon since December 14, 1972. With the previously successful landings on the moon, why is it taking so long to return there? Today's video reveals good information on why NASA never returned to the moon 50 years after the last successful landing. The Apollo program, which ran from 1969 to 1972, was a historic achievement for humanity. It was the first time that humans had ever set foot on another celestial body. But after the last Apollo mission in 1972, NASA never returned to the moon. In this video, we will explore the reasons why. The first reason for the lack of return missions to the moon is cost. The Apollo program was incredibly expensive, and it consumed a large portion of NASA's budget. The program required the development of new technology, including the Saturn V rocket, which was the most powerful rocket ever built at that time. Additionally, the program required the construction of specialized facilities and the training of a dedicated team of astronauts. All these factors added up to a staggering cost. After the Apollo program ended, there was a shift in priorities, and other projects, such as the Space Shuttle program, took precedence. The Space Shuttle program was seen as a more cost-effective way to access space, and it was considered a necessary step towards achieving other goals, such as building the International Space Station. As a result, NASA's budget was redirected towards these projects, and there was not enough funding available to return to the moon. Another reason is the changing political climate. During the 1960s, the United States was in a Cold War with the Soviet Union, and the space race was a way for the U.S. to demonstrate its technological superiority. President John F. Kennedy's 1961 speech, in which he announced the goal of landing a man on the moon before the end of the decade, was seen as a way to assert American dominance in the Cold War. But after the Apollo program, the focus shifted away from the moon and towards other goals, such as the development of the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station. Additionally, after the successful completion of the Apollo program, there was a feeling of mission accomplished and a lack of public interest in returning to the moon. Many people felt that the moon landing was a one-time event and that there wasn't much more to be gained from returning. The Apollo program was seen as a showcase of American technological achievement, but it was not seen as any long-term scientific or economic benefit. Some people argue that NASA should return to the moon to continue scientific research and exploration. The moon is a unique and interesting destination with a wealth of geological and scientific information that could be studied. The moon is also a potential destination for future human settlements, as it has resources such as water and minerals that could be exploited. However, these arguments were not enough to outweigh the costs and political considerations that prevented a return mission. In recent years, there have been renewed calls for a return to the moon. NASA has announced plans for a new lunar exploration program called Artemis, which aims to land astronauts on the moon by 2024. The program is intended to establish a sustainable presence on the moon and to use it as a stepping stone for future missions to Mars. Additionally, private companies, such as SpaceX, have announced plans to send missions to the moon. In conclusion, there are several reasons why NASA never returned to the moon after the Apollo program. Costs, changing political priorities, and a lack of public interest were all factors that contributed to the decision not to return. However, with recent advancements in technology and renewed interest in space exploration, it is possible that we may see a return to the moon in the future. NASA's Artemis program and private companies' plans to send missions to the moon shows that the interest in lunar exploration has been rekindled. It's important to note that the Apollo program was a historic achievement and a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. The program demonstrated that humanity is capable of achieving great things when we set our minds to it. However, the reasons why NASA never returned to the moon after the Apollo program are complex and multifaceted. From the high cost of the program, the shift in priorities, the changing political climate, to the lack of public interest, all of these factors played a role in the decision not to return. But now, with new technological advancements and renewed interest in space exploration, it is possible that we may see a return to the moon in the near future. NASA's Artemis program and private companies' plans to send missions to the moon are clear indicators that the world is once again looking towards the moon with renewed curiosity and interest. The moon is a unique and fascinating destination that holds many secrets yet to be uncovered, and the next generation of explorers are eager to uncover them. Furthermore, the Apollo program was a massive undertaking for NASA, and it consumed a lot of resources and funding, which could have been used to invest in other projects. The Apollo program had a very short time frame of achieving a landing on the moon, which was set by the Kennedy administration, and it achieved its goal, but it also meant that NASA had to cut corners and focus on the immediate objective rather than long-term lunar exploration. Additionally, the Apollo program was not without its risks and tragedies. The Apollo 1 fire, which killed 3 astronauts, was a major setback for NASA and had a significant impact on the agency's budget and plans. The Apollo program was also criticized by some scientists and researchers who felt that the resources and funding allocated to the program could have been better used for other scientific research and discoveries. Another reason was the lack of clear scientific goals and objectives. The Apollo program was primarily focused on achieving a landing on the moon, but once that goal was achieved, there was no clear scientific or exploration objective for the next missions. The Apollo program was seen as a one-off achievement and not as a long-term exploration program. Furthermore, after the Apollo program, NASA had to focus on the Space Shuttle program, which was seen as a more cost-effective way to access space, and it was considered a necessary step towards achieving other goals, such as building the International Space Station. The Space Shuttle program was a major undertaking for NASA, and it required a significant portion of the agency's budget, which meant that there was not enough funding available to return to the moon. In closing, we would like to remind you that space exploration is not just about reaching new destinations. It's about answering fundamental questions about our place in the universe and about the future of our civilization. It's about pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and achievement, and about inspiring the next generation to reach for the stars. Thank you again for watching, and we hope you enjoyed the video.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. It is for these reasons that I regard the decision last year to shift our efforts in space from low to high gear as among the most important decisions that will be made during my incumbency in the office of the presidency.